Hello everyone. In this video, I will be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Samina Pasha to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let us go through the key developments and insights in Samina Pasha's words. A major decision has come regarding the case of judges' transfers. The case regarding reserved seats also saw hearings, and some interesting developments occurred which I would like to share with you. In addition, Iran has carried out another major attack on Israel. I will tell you about the damages caused by this attack. Also, there's an update on Imran Khan's bail cases and what happened in the case of Sanam Javed. Furthermore, there is a significant remark by Asim Munir, which I will talk about today. So, let us dive into these topics. I request you to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Let us begin with the court proceedings. Court proceedings. The biggest news from the court today comes from the Supreme Court, specifically from the Constitutional Bench. A 5-member bench was formed to hear the case regarding the transfer of judges, and today the hearing of this case has concluded. Today, it was said that a short order would be announced, and indeed the decision has been given. Now, do not expect that any decision from this constitutional bench will go against the government or the powerful elites. They have to make a firm stand because of the 26th Amendment. This amendment was made, and a judicial commission was formed so that all decisions could be controlled. Previously, these courts were often used by the establishment to make decisions that favoured them. Back then, there was concern about being accused of partisanship or pressure, and judges tried to make sure that decisions involved arguments from both sides. In the past, when several decisions supported one party, there was always an attempt to balance it out with a few decisions supporting the other side. This was done to give the impression that the judiciary was neutral and following the law. However, under the current regime, this pretense has been abandoned. The 26th Amendment, the Judicial Commission, and the Constitutional Bench were all formed with the intention of controlling the decisions and maintaining the status quo. Now, these 5 members of the Constitutional Bench, handpicked, no longer care about being accused of bias or partisanship. The latest decision in the case of judges' transfers has been in line with expectations. The decision came in a 3-to-2 ratio, declaring that the transfer of judges from Lahore High Court to Islamabad High Court was correct and in accordance with the Constitution. It was stated that these judges were constitutional judges and that the transfer was valid. They also mentioned that these judges would not be sent back as they were rightly appointed. There was also a discussion about the seniority of the judges in question. The case involved whether these judges were senior enough to be appointed as Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court. The issue arose with Justice Sarfraz Dogar, who, despite being 16th in seniority at Lahore High Court, was made the Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court. This raised questions about whether senior judges at Islamabad High Court were being unfairly bypassed. However, it was decided that the matter of seniority would be sent back to President Zardari for resolution. Since the regime already had a clear stance, they would ensure that the seniority issue would not affect the appointments. Now, the judges who were involved in this transfer case include Justice Babar Sattar, Justice Mohsin Akhtar, Justice Saman Rifat, Justice Arbab, and Justice Ishaq. Some others, such as Tariq Mahmood Jahangir, might also be part of this process, but the main question was whether these new judges would be appointed to important cases. These judges were not being assigned any important cases and were sidelined with less significant cases. In the middle of all this, Justice Naeem Akhtar Afghan and Justice Shakil Ahmed wrote a dissenting note. They expressed anger over the transfer and accused the government of bad faith. They also criticised the alleged involvement of the ISI in the matter, stating that the ISI had no role in judicial transfers and should not be meddling in such affairs. Interestingly, Justice Naeem Akhtar Afghan, who was once seen as a close ally of Justice Faiz Issa, who was known for decisions against PTI, seemed to have a change in stance, and this shift was noticeable. Reserved seats case. Regarding the reserved seats, Salman Akram Raja discussed the matter today, emphasizing that the reserved seats cannot be given as a punishment to PTI due to technical errors. The issue raised was whether these seats should remain vacant or be allocated to other political parties. Justice Aminuddin argued that the seats should not remain vacant, and Salman Akram Raja agreed that they cannot remain empty. However, Justice Mazhar mentioned that these seats should go to PTI as they were previously their rightful seats. Despite technical faults, the judges seemed to agree that these seats belong to PTI, but the controversy arose over whether they should be allocated to them or other parties, such as PMLN or PPP. So, in conclusion, this issue remains unresolved, but the legal stance is that PTI, as a political party, is still entitled to these reserved seats. But the big question is, under what legal framework or constitutional provision will these seats be allocated to the ruling parties? If you receive seats based on a ratio, those seats have already been given to them, so how can they receive more seats than that? If you are offering them, it means you are rewriting the law, because the Constitution clearly says that the formula for the allocation of seats will be applied. So how can you say that they should be given seats beyond that formula? And if you make such a decision, it essentially means you are rewriting the law. The matter is clear. There is malintent involved. If powerful people's decisions must be accepted, then they must be accepted. Everyone knows that. But when it comes to the law, no one has been able to answer this question. How can you give those seats to PTI or the Sunni Ittihad Council if justice is not being done? Anyway, let us see what solution the judges come up with. But today, Justice Musrat Hilali made some strange remarks. There was an opportunity where Salman Akram Raja said that the question was about fundamental rights, whether the right to vote is a fundamental right or not. Justice Hilali responded that the answer was already available on unofficial social media. You could not give an answer in court, but fake accounts on social media answered. Basically, she complained that, you will remember, when this hearing began, Justice Musrat Hilali was very active, laughing, joking, mocking, and making sarcastic remarks. After that, social media was flooded with criticism. Not just criticism, but intense criticism. You know that when social media gets involved, everyone has their own opinions, and some people even lash out. So, she referred to this, saying that while you could not respond here in court, social media gave an unofficial answer, though the answer was very clear, and that was the topic of discussion. Salman Akram Raja clarified this. But the point is that the judges do see what is happening on social media. If they did not, how would they know what was happening to them online? So clearly, they are all watching. Still, I am surprised that despite all this, the judges are not correcting their stance. What can a person do when everything is in front of them? The public's reactions, the points of view based on law and the Constitution, and all the questions being asked by the public that they ignore during hearings. Many of those questions are being discussed later. So it is clear they are watching everything, but if they do not want to learn, what can we do? Well, today this was the case, and besides that, there were 3 other cases. One case was about captain's bail in the May 9th cases. In this case, the prosecutor team was making bizarre arguments in court to the point that the judges were shocked. They were saying things like, if a bank is being robbed and someone is giving instructions over the phone, then the person on the phone must also be guilty. The judge had to tell them to focus on their case and present solid evidence. Anyway, today again, a large number of PTI MPAs and ticket holders, along with leaders, came. Imran Khan's sisters were also present. The hearing has now been postponed until June 23rd. It is becoming a long, tedious process, but the court is giving the prosecutor enough time, so the hearing is postponed until June 23rd. Similarly, in the case of Sanam Javed's bail, the judge did not hear the case today and it was delisted. The hearing will be scheduled next week. I want to remind you, this is the same Justice Farouk who delayed the hearing of Auria Makbuljan's bail for days, keeping him in jail unnecessarily for 2 to 3 months. The same situation is now happening with Sanam Javed's case, as the judge is aware that the case has no merit. And it is just about keeping the person in jail, so the strategy is to delay the case hearing. Today, Sanam Javed's case was not heard. Now, let us talk briefly about the ongoing war between Iran and Israel. Iran has launched a major missile strike this morning, resulting in significant damage. According to reports, this is Israel's biggest loss so far. Many high-rise buildings have been destroyed, including the stock exchange building, which is said to have collapsed. Turkish media is reporting around 50 casualties, while Israeli media confirms 24 deaths. Several buildings have been damaged, and the retaliation from Iran is continuing in full force. It is even said that if the United States does not intervene, Israel could face a serious defeat, and their survival might become very difficult. This morning's attacks have also targeted occupied territories. It is expected that there will be more intense attacks in the coming hours, as Ayatollah Khamenei has instructed his forces to escalate the assaults. This whole situation has become quite unexpected for Israel. There is also talk of Donald Trump trying to drag America into this conflict, with many people thinking that the United States will formally join the war. However, Trump is facing some resistance, with many members of Congress warning against such involvement. So the situation is still under discussion, and it is uncertain what will happen next. Now let us touch briefly on the recent meeting between Asim Munir and Donald Trump. The meeting has created a lot of buzz in Pakistan, and many people are celebrating, saying it was a great achievement. But the details of their conversation are still unclear. Some things have come out from security sources and other reports. But one controversial statement attributed to Donald Trump is that Asim Munir agreed with him on the Iran issue. What exactly this agreement was about is still not clear, and Pakistani officials have not clarified the position. There is a sense of concern over what Pakistan's stance is on Iran. The opposition and the public are generally supportive of Iran, but the government's position is still unclear. If Trump and Asim Munir have agreed on something, the Foreign Office must make a clear statement regarding Pakistan's policy on Iran. There are reports that Asim Munir addressed overseas Pakistanis and said that even if a dog becomes the Prime Minister, if they are working in the interest of Pakistan, they should be supported. I find it hard to believe that these words were used in such a way, but if true, it is quite a controversial statement. It is surprising because no matter who becomes the Prime Minister of Pakistan, such language is not acceptable. If this kind of language is being used, the current political parties, which are stuck to the establishment, need to reconsider where they stand. That wraps up our translation of Samina Pasha's video. I hope this English version helped you understand her message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Do not forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.